I'm a new brand. Do I need a license to have a cannabis brand? Do I have to have a license? Do I have to have a facility, manage staff? Is that what I need to have to achieve my own brand? And I'm here to tell you, no, you don't need that. You don't want that. That's really only going to hold you back. So I have a lot of people asking me, can I have a brand without a license? Flat out. Okay, so what encompasses a cannabis brand? Okay, you've got your packaging, right? That's your branding. You've got your product. That is, that's your sauce. That's your secret sauce. What is your product? Do you specialize in high quality indoor? Are you a value brand? What is your niche that you're trying to achieve? So you've got your packaging, your product. You obviously need to produce it. And then you have the sales aspect of it, right? So here you have an idea, right? You have product, packaging. Next thing, you have to think about taking it in its raw form, getting it manufactured in a compliant way to bring that to market. And that's a whole rainbow of things that you need to think about, that you shouldn't want to think about, and that you don't really have to think about if you partner with the right co-packer or manufacturer. The two things that you really should focus with when you have a brand, especially if you're small and just starting out, your product, your branding with the product, right? So we'll just refer to branding and product as one thing. And getting it to the shelves. Not only that, it's just sales in general. You want your product to sell, and you have to sell it to dispensaries, but you also need to make sure that once it hits the dispensary, that it will sell to customers. That's a lot. That's a lot, because it's not just like worrying about, oh, hey, I got it there, the manager got it. Now I'm just going to wait for those reorders to roll in, because unless you're playing an active role in each dispensary and making sure that the bud tenders are being taken care of and that they understand your product, those reorders won't roll in. And that's why it's so important as a brand to not have to focus on licensing and your manufacturing and your distribution and collections. It's so much to think about, and especially if you're a one-man show for now, which that's totally fine, you don't want to focus on these things. So let's talk about and just go through the different steps. You have a brand idea, you're small, we'll call you the one-man brand, and you're wondering, how do I bring my idea, no matter how fleshed out it might be right now, from, I was laying in bed one night and I came up with this amazing idea, to how do I actually make a product out of it? Let's talk about it from A to Z and without a license, which I'm not only speaking about California, I'm talking about any cannabis legal state in America. Okay, so from start to finish, you have a brand idea. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's this great brand idea. You want to sell X specific flower, and your packaging is blah, blah, blah. Now, you don't even know, where do I get packaging? Okay, that's no problem. Again, partner with a co-packer or a manufacturer that can get you that. Ideally, you want to be able to take your idea to a co-packer or manufacturer, present that to them, and have them flesh it out. And a good manufacturer will do that free of charge. You will not pay any penny for that. And that's actually how you will know that you're with the wrong person. If you're presenting your idea and they're trying to charge you consulting fees, processing fees, flim-flam toilet paper fees, already right there, you know that they don't have your best interest in mind. They're just trying to nickel and dime and absorb all the costs that they can get from you before you eventually fail. Red flag number one. So you've got this great idea. You also need flour, or whatever cannabis components you're putting in there. You may not grow. You probably don't grow, and that's totally fine unless you're some master grower. Great. Well, then you probably won't even be watching this. Okay, so now you need packaging, you need product, and then you need to get it all made. Okay, packaging. First steps with packaging. Talk to your chosen manufacturer or co-packer, and really essentially all you should have to present to them is a great logo. And actually some packaging brands will work with you to develop your logo for you, again, free of charge. There's tons of free services out there that will take your idea from inception to, you know, finished logo and finished packaging, all free of charge. I've seen it done multiple times, especially if you're a good person and you're nice, which go hand in hand. Anyways, so you have your logo, you're talking to your co-packer or your manufacturer, and it's okay to admit what you don't know. Like you don't know, you're just starting out. That's fine. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to. There's so much fluff in the cannabis industry. Everybody, you know, has this like swagger of I've been doing it for this 20 years and 30 years. It's refreshing when someone is just open and honest and says, I don't know what I'm doing. So you tell your co-packer or manufacturer, this is my idea, this is my logo. I'm doing, say you're doing pouches or jars, and they can also talk you through the pros and cons and the benefits and what kind of fits your product best. But if you have an idea, you probably already have, you know, you're a creative person, you probably already have an idea of what it should look like in your head, so you're able to kind of explain it somewhat. That co-packer is going to link you up, if not take care of it personally, meeting you up with a packaging manufacturer, and that packaging manufacturer will be able to mock up designs and get your approval before basically quoting you a cost to produce what we call your soft goods. Again, that could be your jars, your tins, your pouches, your tubes, anything that's not cannabis. Now, that is one thing. Like, going into the cannabis industry, you definitely do have to have some funding, whether it's personal funding or whatever it is. You will need funds. Essentially, like getting packaging made is one of those initial costs that you can't skirt around. What you can do, and what a lot of places will offer you, is net terms. So try to work with a company that is offering you, you know, net 7 or net 30 even, or net 60. No one's going to be pissed that you're asking, and it doesn't hurt. And really, that's a great practice for you to sell yourself and your brand. You're assuring them that you are going to be a successful brand, and to extend these terms to you because you will be able to pay it at a later date. Now, terms are hard to come by in the cannabis industry because there were so many bad players and non-payers in the beginning, but there are still companies out there that do believe in these budding new brands that will extend these terms, and you just got to find them and, you know, again, sell yourself. Okay, so your packaging, it's in process, and let's just say that you're starting off with pouches, and we won't talk about all the different compliance, that will be for another video, but you've got your packaging made. Okay, well, what goes in your packaging? Your cannabis. Where do you get your cannabis? Well, if you have the best way to get your cannabis, the best way to get your cannabis without growing it yourself, which again has its own nightmare aspects of it, is to have those direct to farm or direct to cultivator relationships. No license needed for this, but when you have a direct to farm relationship, you're cutting out the broker, right? So a broker's job in cannabis is they're a middleman. They're gonna work with Farm A, and they're gonna work with you. You're gonna tell the broker, I want this and this and this. They're gonna look at their farms and grab it, but in the process, they're gonna tack on, say, $25, $50, maybe $100 to each pound that you purchase. Now, when you're starting off and your margins are already razor thin, if non-existent, that's gonna kill you right there. So number one option when building a brand without a license is to try to cultivate those direct to farm relationships. I will have a separate video that will explain how to get to those direct to farm relationships because I've got hacks for this. In the meantime, we'll continue with this. The second best way of doing this is to work with a good broker who understands your position as a new brand and wants to see you succeed because they're thinking long term. They're not thinking of selling you, maybe 5 pounds, triple the price, just to get your money, right? Maybe they see something in you and they know that you'll succeed and they want to be alongside of you. So that's what a good broker will provide you with. Okay, so you found a flower source, you've got your packaging on the way, and you need to get it done. Oh my gosh, okay, we'll just speak about flower in general. What does it take to package flower? You need a team. Let's just forget the team. All right, you don't need a team. How do you package flower compliantly? Well, you need a license. You don't have a license, so don't even think about it. Don't do it. You will be working with a co-packer or a manufacturer, again, that you trust and that you feel good about, and they will be basically taking the flower that you buy. You'll put them in touch with the source that you're buying it from. Because you don't have a license, they will have to purchase it on your behalf. Typically, a co-packer manufacturer will do a consulting invoice to you for the cost of the flower. It's not going to have any extra cost on it. It's just their way of getting reimbursed for the cost of the flower. Okay, so you have your flower secured. Your co-packer has paid for it and it's going to be coming to the facility. Make sure that you time this right, because the first order of business will be getting your packaging. You never want to get flower and have that flower sitting around, regardless of if it's in climate controlled storage. You don't want it sitting around aging. So get the packaging secured, get all that tied away. If you're doing pouches, get the pouches, get the labels, get everything that you need soft goods wise. And we'll go over that one form at a time, but we're just talking about an overview of building a brand without a license. So you've got your packaging shipped directly to your co-packer, and now you've got your flower coming in. So your flower arrives at your co-packer, and the first thing that they're going to need to do before they package it, if it is going in jars or pouches, is COA test it, right? So a COA test, it's California compliance. Each state has their own term for it, I believe, but it has to have a compliance test. So there are many labs everywhere you go. Each lab will try to sell you on something. I have the highest potency, or I have the fastest turnaround time, or I have the cheapest COA. Whatever it is, be very wary about what they're offering you. A lot of these labs will offer you the world during the mating or the dating, during that initial honeymoon phase, and later on they say you test with them a month from now or 2 months from now, because you are a new brand, they'll forget all about you and it doesn't even matter. So what you want to look for in a lab is consistency and quality. You don't want a lab that's going to give you, say some fantastically inflated results this round, but then next month give you realistic, somewhat deflated results. Generally, a good co-packer or manufacturer will be able to suggest a reliable and consistent lab. If they don't, again, that's probably a bad sign. So the co-packer, they will have the product tested on your behalf, and once that compliance test comes through, they'll be able to generate the post-test label. Post-test label will have all of your compliance information on that. The license that they'll be using will be theirs, because they are the distributor / manufacturer on the COA. There's just no way around that. What's going to be on the packaging is your information, your phone number, your website, all of everything that a customer would need to have to find more of you. And that's what you want them to do, that you want them to find more of you. So once the COA comes through, your co-packer should be able to package your product within the span of a day. And voila, it's ready, okay? And again, we'll talk about packaging in another time, but for this right here, you do not need a license to have a brand. You just need reliable manufacturers and co-packers. So product is done. Now what? Well, you can't sell it because you can't distribute it because you don't have a license, but you can sell the shit out of it. And that's what you should do. So you partner with a distribution company that is going to store your product for free, that will charge you a flat rate. Typically 10% is a flat rate, and within that 10% they will be distributing it to, statewide. Any place that you sell to, they should be able to distribute it. And by distribute, I mean deliver. They will be collecting on your behalf, and they will be remitting that collection to you in a timely manner. Very important, timely manner. Consistently on a schedule. So that's income that you can count on, so you can start paying off whoever you owe money to, because at this point you probably owe money to whoever you've been borrowing it to fund this brand. So you've got your packaged product. The only thing that you need to worry about, other than, continuously coming up with products, is selling. Okay, that is the big thing. I mean, that's the most important, most valuable part of having your brand, is owning your sales. Do not outsource your sales. It may seem tempting, and it may seem like a fast attack, and if you're going to do that, make sure that you still play an active involvement, an active role in selling your product, but you want to take the lead because you want to own those relationships. Let's say that you hire a freelance sales rep. Do you think that they really truly are invested in your product and your success? They're not. They are invested in making money. And if your product makes them money while they sell it, great. But do you have the financial ability to pay them a base salary and commission on top? Because that's typically what you'll need to do to obtain that initial loyalty from a salesperson. Probably not, right? Okay, so now let's say that you want to go to an agency. You go to, say, a distribution company that does sales too. You use Pedal Fast, that's a big one. We'll talk about it another day, or KSS. Well, they're representing tons of other brands, right? And we all know that within any given state or territory, there's a limited amount of dispensaries, right? The market is flooded with brands. Do you think that that sales agency is going to give your particular brand the love and attention that you would? Absolutely not. And then let's just say that they do, and they're great. They're awesome. Oh my gosh, they're selling like crazy. But then internally, that sales agency, it isn't making money, or they're, mismanaging their money. It happens a lot, way too frequently, and they go out of business. You just lost all those relationships because you didn't form them. So now you're trying to get those reorders or sell to a shop your own product, and they've never heard your name. They don't know anything about you because they've been dealing with, Sarah Jenkins over at the sales agency that you hired. For the longevity and the long-term success of your company, you have to have that hustler mentality, and that, I'll do whatever it takes to get a sale. Capitalize on your strengths, whatever those individual strengths may be. Maybe you're the nicest, kindest person on earth and people just love talking to you. Use that. Maybe you're fantastic looking. People just like talking to you and will buy anything from you because you're just so pleasant to look at. Use that. Get to know those people at the dispensaries. There's a manager that, loves barbecue. Well, that day you're going to love barbecue too, and you're going to talk to him about freaking barbecue bonanza, whatever it takes. You want them to remember you. If they remember you, they remember your product, and they'll be more willing to allow you to set up PADs, patient appreciation days, and events, and whatever it may be. The closer these bonds will be, the better off the more success you'll have selling your product. Okay, so let's wrap up here. Do you need a license to have your own brand? No. You need an idea. You need to partner with a wonderful co-packer, a manufacturer, distribution company, preferably all in one, to bring that idea from idea to consumer packaged goods. And you need to sell, right? So you've got idea and sales, and in between that is everything that it takes to get it made, which you really shouldn't have to worry about. Your top concerns as an IP brand, an intellectual property holder, is that killer idea and doing the craziest wild hustling sales that you've ever done in your life. Everything else, as you expand and you grow, I'm not saying that you'll never have your own license or you'll never want your own license. Sure, that may be something that you want to do. Maybe vertical integration is something that you want to have. Maybe you want to be the next Steezy or the next West Coast Cure, and that's fine. But if you're watching right now, if you're watching this right now, chances are you are a one-man brand, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've seen incredible successes with one-man brands, and I've helped a lot of them achieve that success. And I've also seen incredible failures. So, to summarize, do you need a license to start a brand? Hell no. And can that brand be successful? Hell yes. Just follow these simple rules. First thing, if you're trying to start a brand, come up with that idea, right? You've got that idea. Make sure that it's a good idea. But who's to say it's, when you're sipping your own Kool-Aid, every idea is a good idea, right? Shop that idea around to your friends, your family. That's, I guess, the first part of selling a brand, is figuring out if you can even sell it to the people that, love and care for you. Do your research. You've got this great brand idea. Turns out, you go into 15 different dispensaries and that idea already exists. You know how many times that's happened to people where they come to me and they're like, I've got this amazing brand idea. I'm going to put, my packaging's going to look like Chinese takeout food and blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, that's a great idea. And it's already been done by, so-and-so. So, make sure, come on. You got to check it out. There's a lot of great ideas, but a lot of them have been done before. And then, again, talk to a good manufacturer co-packer. Just research it. Go off vibes. Go off discovery calls. Get a good vibe check. And the other thing that you'll want to think about is protecting your brand. So typically it's like a one-pager, kind of a document that you'll want your manufacturer, co-packer, distribution company, again, preferably all three of them are found in one source, to sign some kind of form that basically just black and white states that you own your brand. Protect your brand, protect your property. You want to make sure that, worst case scenario, if you partnered up with some terrible distribution company, that they don't try to, take your product. That's not common, but this industry is crazy. So if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to message me or leave a question in the comments below and I will answer it. The next video that I'll get into is going to be packaging, and it's going to be on packaging. So again, if you have any questions or anything, leave me a comment below and I will answer it for you, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, bye.